you like Chinese food? Thai food, perhaps? How about some of the more exotic specialties from, say, Singapore or Malaysia? What if I told you I could take you out of your kitchen to spend the next hour traveling all over Southeast Asia to sample some of the best food the region has to offer? Would you want to come along? I hope so, because I'm about to board a very special train. This golden thread will stop in some of the most exotic food locales in the world, and you're invited. No luggage required, but you might want to take some notes. I'm Thomas Robson, and this is Entree to Asia, the golden thread. We hear a lot of people talking about New Asia cuisine these days. What is it exactly? A new trend brought to us by talented chefs from Hawaii and California? Well, not exactly. Ever since the mid-1400s, when foreign traders like these Portuguese behind me arrived with shiploads full of corn, chilies, and other New World ingredients, Asian cuisine has undergone a permanent change, not to mention Western cuisine. So you see, fusion cuisine has been going on already for centuries. We're lucky in our time and age we can participate in this East meets West phenomena. It's time to go back to our kitchens and take up this trend and have a lot of fun. Here we are in front of the Keppel station. We're about to embark on a wonderful journey where we will taste our way through Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and even Hong Kong. Jump on board with us, will you? Our first stop is Singapore. Welcome to the wet market, so called because of its wet and slippery floors. All manner of vegetables, fish, poultry, meat, and spices are on sale here. The food is fresh, the buying and selling frantic, and my senses were positively reeling. Our knowledgeable guide for this stop on our exotic journey is Devagi Samugam, teacher, food historian, and owner of the specialty cooking school, the Epicurean Kitchen.
Have you seen a lot of the Indian restaurants and the Indonesian restaurants? We actually serve food on banana leaves.
How nice.
And one of the reasons we have few reasons for actually serving on a banana leaf. One is because this is a disposable plate. Another reason is because banana leaf, when you put some hot food here, it imparts an enzyme that actually we have in our tongue.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and so it actually enhances the flavor of any food that you put here. Have you seen this before?
Black chicken.
That's right.
I think back home we call them silky.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Cantonese really love this kind of chicken.
Yes, this is actually used in soups. Actually, people don't actually cook it for the meat,
Okay.
but they will brew it in a soup, like double boil or steam it, and then they will just throw the chicken away. They just take the essence of the chicken, and this chicken is funny because it's black, but these feathers are real pure white, and then you identify with this black feet. Okay, here is the seafood area. This is one of my most favorite stalls here because he's got everything that I want.
So, what do you do with this fellow?
We cook it into a curry, and it is the #1 favorite dish in Singapore, fish head curry.
Fish head curry. Have you ever seen shark's fin soup on a restaurant menu and all you could think of was the theme from the movie Jaws? Well, this is what it's really made from. So when you're eating shark's fin, it's this little filament here in the fin
That's right.
that we eat.
Yes, and it's one of the most expensive products here.
Now you know. Other than buckets of ice, refrigeration in these markets is scarce. But people only buy what they need for that day. It goes straight from the market to a favorite recipe.
Every wet market actually has got a hawker center that tags along with it.
This is that's a great deal. This is the roti prata.
The roti prata. We call it
Amazing.
the Singapore's answer to the croissant.
It's flaky like a croissant, that's
right.
for sure, and it's hot and fresh. What is this here?
This is actually a simple mutton curry.
Okay.
It's got potatoes and a bit of meat. You can actually eat your roti prata with sugar, with curry, with sardines, and anything you want, or as it is.
What a perfect end to a day of shopping in the wet market. The next stop on our culinary tour was the annual Singapore Food Festival. Every year for the entire month of July, chefs, food educators and restaurateurs from all over the world descend on Singapore. They come here to learn about new food trends, compete for culinary awards and share insights and information. But mostly they come here to eat. As part of the festival, I was invited to partake in the World Gourmet Safari. It's a hot but historic evening tonight in Singapore. We're here at Raffles Hotel, the first step in the World Gourmet Safari. 4 different hotels, 4 different courses, 4 different master chefs. Walk right this way. I was sure the food and wine was going to be fantastic, but I was intrigued about having dinner with 40 other gourmets. I wasn't disappointed. There were no cameras permitted at first, but when the organizers discovered what we were up to, they graciously allowed us to capture some of the wonderful sights and sounds, even if it meant shooting by candlelight at times.
The dish we had tonight was a tataki of tuna, served on a celeriac salad with roquette and a little bit of caviar mayonnaise, which is very much a blend of Eastern and Western techniques, if you like. We take the pickled cucumber underneath on the first layer, which is very Eastern. The celeriac salad is bound with mayonnaise, which is very European. And the tataki of tuna is very Japanese. It's typical Japanese preparation of tuna. And then we add in the caviar with the saltiness just to cut through the richness of the tuna. So it's a real combination of different styles.
Singapore is both a country and a city, and while it's not that big, my friends and I still had to get from point A to point B. Although our transportation for the evening was far from commonplace, it did provide its own fair share of comic relief. Well, here we go. We're on to stop number 2 now. Let's check the menu, shall we?
I'm with him.
Yoshihiro Murata. Tonight he will prepare for us shizakana, deep-fried lobster with rice cake, served with egg sauce, eggplant, and shansho leaves. Now I can't wait. The last dish, the combination with the wine, the world was spinning. Company's stellar, everything's fantastic. Let's keep on going. Think Japanese and most people think of sushi or noodle dishes, but how about neo-tempura Canadian lobster? Bending Japanese food traditions and rewriting the menus is Chef Murata's stock in trade. He is a 3rd-generation chef, and today he divides his time between his vocation as master chef of the Holiday Inn in Kyoto and his avocation as host of his own television cookery series in Japan.
Murata-san is using normally for the bread with the actually for the bread is so he's using for the rice made by rice cracker. He crushed off rice cracker then bread.
One of the real treats for me on this safari was meeting chefs who were born, raised and trained in Southeast Asia, but who chose other parts of the world in which to ply their trade. Susur Lee is one of those chefs. So here we are at the Ritz-Carlton Millennia, our 3rd stop on the gourmet safari. It's amazing so far. Right now we're going to sit down to a rack of grilled lamb with a chutney prepared by Susur Lee, a Hong Kong-born chef who actually has spent most of his time professionally in Canada. Let me give you the details. Marinated rack of lamb with chili mint chutney, carrot and cardamom chutney on the side. I can't believe it. So far the guests are almost hysterical. The flavors, everything. They're intoxicated on the food alone. Mind you, the wine and what's been served alongside has been pretty exceptional on its own. I want to show you how perfectly cooked this piece of lamb is here. Look at the pinkness, the beautiful color. We can't overcook lamb. There's no sense in doing it. Susur Lee has made a combination platter here that is a miracle.
I love that rack of lamb with its chutney, and according to the chef, he made that Indian chutney because he'd fallen in love with an Indian woman who unfortunately ditched him. But so much for the Eastern and Western influences.
I try not using any dairy. For example, tonight the dish, there's no dairy at all. It's almost an idea of Singapore. There is Thai, there is Singapore, there is marinated curry. So it's sort of a mix of different part of Asia.
It's getting late and the stairs seem to be getting a little steeper. But what would a dinner like this be without dessert? And what a dessert. Here we are at the Oriental Hotel. The safari is almost over, and it's almost hard to believe we've been through 3 courses already. Fortunately, we have dessert yet to go. We have a Thai chef, Vichit Mukura, who is going to come and prepare this dessert for us. Mango charlotte with caramel ice cream and cold coconut tabayon. I've had a taste of everything on the plate so far. And what I regret to say is, the smallest part of the decoration so far has the most intense flavor. Right here, a little coconut sabayon with just a dot of raspberry coulis on the top. The minute it enters your mouth, it fills your mouth. Your sinuses, your entire tasting system is overwhelmed by something so small and tiny. The mango charlotte, amazing. The cold little ice cream experience here with the caramel, totally satisfying. But the 3 little dots that were here, that's what I'll remember. And the wonderful people I met. But didn't I mention something about a train earlier? Well, the World Gourmet Summit and Safari are over now, but we're about to begin a safari of our own as we board the Eastern and Oriental Express to follow a golden thread of flavors from Singapore to Malaysia and Thailand. I have no idea what awaits us, but I know 2 things. It's going to be an adventure, and it's going to taste great. I'm sure you've heard of the legendary Orient Express train that runs through the heart of Europe. Well, this train, the E&O as it's called, follows the same traditions with equal attention to detail and all the luxuries you would expect from first-class travel. It also has a top-notch chef and great food, a movable feast if ever there was one. But first, as we cross the border into Malaysia, a side trip to the historical seaside town of Malacca. We've come to an important cultural crossroads here in Malaysia. We're in the old Dutch sector of Malacca. A really good place to experience the melting pot effect right at first hand. Here we can see evidence of the Dutch, the Portuguese, Chinese, and Malaysian cultures all coming together to create what is often referred to as Peranakan or Straits culture. This is a must-see stop on any trip to Malaysia. The Portuguese had an influence on many parts of Southeast Asia for centuries. In fact, it was the Portuguese who introduced chili peppers and tomatoes to this region. The old political dominance is gone now, but the food remains. And one of the best ways to partake of this unique fusion of Malay and Portuguese food is to visit the Restaurant de Lisbon in the old Portuguese quarter of Malacca.
Okay? So it's that way.
Baking in an oven.
So you put the banana leaf on top of the foil, and you put the spices here. So you put it in this position. Now it comes to the wrapping. This is ready. So when we put it in the pan then to bake it.
So now the fish in its wrapper, the aluminum foil outside, banana leaf,
Yeah.
the rempa, the oil, the fish,
Yes.
goes on top of a hot griddle. And I guess the wrapping of the foil makes like an oven almost to help bake it inside, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So
Baking
it takes
is-
about 10 minutes.
10 minutes only.
10 minutes on.
So you use a very strong heat underneath the pan.
Yeah.
Wow. Now baking obviously is not a very usual technique in Southeast Asia. In fact, if it wasn't for the Portuguese and other Europeans coming in, the idea of ovens and baking would probably not have evolved for a very long time. Since the 15th century, people here have been enjoying food with bread, with chilies, tomatoes, saffron, all these ingredients that just wouldn't have happened without the Portuguese and without the people here in Malacca maintaining their Portuguese traditions so wholeheartedly. What a treat. Our first stop in Kuala Lumpur, the capital city of Malaysia, is the night market in Chinatown. But there's so much to see and do. Where do we start? My first stop is to get a little bit of the Chinese bitter herbs tea because it's going to give you the energy and whet the appetite for a long night's walking and dining amidst the hawker stalls. There's nothing quite like it to get your energy going, and it's better for you than coffee. So here we have a wonderful bowl full of delicious rice noodle and fish and a tamarind broth, fresh herbs, lots of spicy flavors. I've been here before. This is one of my favorite stands of all. The best part, thank you very much, the best part is the fresh mint on top. If you really want to adventure in Asia, you got to eat street side, and sometimes it's just the best. You know, after a nice spicy bowl of noodles, you just might want to enjoy an ice-cold glass of sesame milk, thank you, sir, with a little bit of the brown sugar, the gula melaka, give it a nice, robust flavor. Well, Kuala Lumpur's Chinatown is really a great place, both for eating and for shopping. You'll have a heck of a lot of fun here. Right now, though, we're going to head off to JALAN ALOI, which is a very small, not so well-known street full of traditional Malaysian hawker food. As you'll see, it's different from Chinatown and very, very delicious. Think of this street as a shopping plaza back home. Each store, or in this case, stall, specializing in just one thing. Here you can get everything from simple snacks of Indian bread or satay to large dishes of noodles, rice, fish, even porridge. How about some grilled stingray for starters? Okay, grilled flavor is the best barbecue I've had in ages. Here we are in front of a very traditional Cantonese kind of stand where they're preparing what we know as lop chong gai pan, which means a Chinese sausage, chicken in a clay pot with rice. Look at that, it's beautiful. Rice, chicken, sausage, a meal in one pot. And what happens is on the bottom, the rice burns a little bit and this smoky, delicious aroma comes up. So if you ever have it, it's burned on the bottom. Don't complain, smile and enjoy. So maybe if you've had a hard night out on the town and you need something just to smooth your stomach down a little bit, you might want to consider a nice hot bowl of rice porridge. In this case, made with fresh frog's legs. A little exceptional, a little exotic, you bet. Porridge is served piping hot. We've had some great snacks up till now. We've worked our way all along the length of JALAN ALOI, and sort of cap off the evening, we're going to have a plate of nasi lemak. Okay la. You can enjoy nasi lemak in many different restaurants and food centers all over KL, but I think the best really has to be here at the end of the road on JALAN ALOI. The other side of the culinary coin here in Southeast Asia are the fine dining establishments, especially those in hotels. Many of us have heard about the death of fine dining in hotels. During our quest here in Southeast Asia to discover the best of local flavors, we were pleasantly surprised to discover the quality, the variety, and the depth of hotel menus. Here you can enjoy Asian food in its classic forms, you can enjoy Western classic food, and you can enjoy a meeting of the two, East meets West. And nowhere is that more evident than with Chef Horst Federer, executive chef of the restaurant Lafitte in Kuala Lumpur. Born to German parents, he was raised in Hawaii, of all places, and now lives in Kuala Lumpur with his Malaysian wife. His cross-cultural philosophy is infused into every dish he prepares, and the spicy peanut soup he is about to make is a good example.
Put the bones in, right? And we boil it for about half an hour. The reason we boil only chicken bones and fish bones, as you know, only for half an hour is because of the lanolin, the soapy taste. If you boil bones too long, like in the old days, you know, when they boiled soups, 2-3 hours, you get the soapy taste.
Yeah.
Nobody does that anymore. When our stock has boiled now, we're gonna take the stock hot and we're gonna pour the stock in here, about so much. After this is done, we're gonna add the raw peanuts, because there's the flavor in.
Of course.
All right? So we put the peanuts in, just like that. Then we add a little garlic. It all goes in there.
That's about a teaspoon or so.
Yeah, we add a little ginger,
Not too much.
just a little turmeric, and then we use the ginger flower. We use some of the shiitake mushroom stems, we put it in there. The most important part, the skin and the thigh meat we did grind.
Very well.
So this is almost like a clarification now.
A classical consomme clarification.
Exactly.
Where
So-
you add more protein elements like egg whites, for instance, but also chopped up meat and so on.
Yeah.
And as the stock slowly cooks and bubbles through this, it becomes a filter layer, binding up proteins, clarifying the stock. That's basically how a consomme is made.
This is burlap.
Okay.
Now you gotta be very careful.
Okay, what's
the
that?
Chinese bury their dead in burlap. So there's certain burlap bags which you are not allowed to use. This one is a very soft and very porous burlap.
Right.
This is okay. Also the reason we have chosen it, it's a very natural burlap.
Oh yeah, that
Smells
doesn't
good.
have that weird smell.
We're gonna put this on the stove.
Hot, hot.
No, no.
Oh, but what an aroma.
Smell. Isn't that great? Put this one over there, so you get lukewarm water. There we go. So, and then you leave it on the side of the stove.
The famous corner of the fire as
Yeah.
we read in cookbooks.
So, you let it sit for about 20 minutes. And you see, you gotta start always with cold water because you wanna extract. If you wanna sear something, you start hot. Just very little oil. Again, like we say, health. This is our black chicken breast,
Okay.
right, which we had marinated in satay. And this one we use as a garnish. Now we're gonna do the garnish.
Very well.
We take this back. This is where we're gonna serve our soup in. What we made here was a little roulade. In order to get a little color effect, we used some white chicken meat.
Okay.
The leftover from here, as we saw from the ground meat.
Right.
We mixed some mushrooms in, some ginger. All the ingredients you see here, you find here in again.
So we're not adding different flavors
No,
now,
no, no,
we're
no.
reinforcing what's happening.
Exactly. Can we see, huh?
Oh yeah.
Go in there. In there. In there. Then we use the satay chicken.
Yes.
Right? Take one piece in there. Okay. This is the Malaysian groundnut, which is a peanut, but
Right.
it's called a groundnut here. 2 or 3 because the name of the soup is
Spicy peanut soup.
spicy peanut soup. We take 1 or 2 of the ginger flowers. Right? Pack this away. Make a few julienne of that.
Now it won't take much because the aroma is quite
It's
pungent.
very strong. Very, very strong. And then we use the shiitake mushroom. Also very fine. You see, I don't even blanch it. But you see what we do is we make it paper thin. Because you want to preserve all the original flavors. You see, the soup is ready now.
A perfect consommé.
Yeah. Would you like to know how we serve it, how the customer gets it?
Absolutely.
We are not taking this off. Remember, we burned it. This is very important for the flavor, the burlap. So what you do is, you take the soup
Strain it through the burlap.
and strain it through the burlap.
Wow.
Why don't you try it, right?
All right.
And tell me what you think about the new world and the old world mixed with traditional recipes. It's medicine.
Oh, yeah.
It's gourmet food.
Yeah, keep going. You're taking the words out of my mouth here. It's beautiful.
And at the same time, you know, the Malaysians can be proud of their heritage. This is my main thing.
Well, Malaysia has really been a fun and exotic part of our trip, but now we rejoin the train, the Eastern and Oriental Express, as we continue on to Penang. As you can see, it's just about dinner time, and despite all our eating and tasting, I'm ready for this.
It's our
We're going to speed off through the jungle. Malaysia will whiz past us, and tomorrow morning we'll be in Penang. Good night. Penang is a beautiful old city, and it's really got that taste, that flavor that you hear about in all kinds of books and travel guides, but you never see anymore. Most people travel to Penang for the tourist hotels and resorts which are located on the other side of the island. But by avoiding Georgetown, the capital city, they miss the oldest British colonial outpost on the Malay Peninsula, and a city rich in historical significance. The state religion of Malaysia is Islam, but because of the high Chinese and Indian population on Penang, Buddhist and Hindu temples are found everywhere. Meanwhile, back on the train, it's time to prepare a little lunch with some friends of mine. Well, here I am inside the kitchen of Executive Chef Kevin Kate. He is the man who makes the Eastern and Oriental Express such a wonderful experience.
What I've got here is a piece of semi-smoked salmon, and I've layered it with Thai spices.
Okay.
I've got one of my Thai assistants here. He's going to make a little papaya salad, a Thai papaya salad, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
It's sort of a som tam.
Yes, correct.
Som tam is a classic northern Thai salad. Fresh green papaya. It's almost like a coleslaw when it's done, but one much
Here
more.
I've got some bean sprouts. This is green papaya.
A little bit of carrot in there as well. No, actually, there's the papaya.
Yeah. Raw peanuts, ground, chili, fish sauce, lime, and tomato. Very, very simple.
So fresh crushed chili, lime juice, tomato, fish sauce, and sugar. Now the grated green papaya, very highly nutritional, the green papaya. Lots of vitamins, lots of good fiber. Truly an excellent fruit used as a vegetable. Now, is the salmon icy cold, or is it?
No, it's still warm.
Slightly warmed. And now it's up to the waiters to get it to the table from here.
Okay.
So I'm a bit over-eager here. I'm already with a knife and fork, watching the Thai countryside. We've just passed over the border into Thailand. Very, very Thai. The smoked salmon, undeniably it's smoked salmon. But all the aromas around it are so Thai.
Eats Meets West has been going for centuries. Even at the time of Escoffier, they had the introduction of Indian spices. But I think we've just developed it slightly more. With sort of cross cultures, people traveling more, we've become a little bit more adventurous. For example, like today, we've mixed a little bit of Thai. It's a classic salmon dish, but just flavoured with Thai. So the cross culture of food has been going for centuries.
this part of our trip is over as we arrive in one of the busiest train stations in the world. Well, our journey now has brought us to Bangkok. The train ride has been fantastic. Something we learned along the way, though, Bangkok no longer exists. That's an older name of another town that existed in the same place. The actual name of this city is so long, it's in the Guinness World Book of Records. We simply shorten it down, however, to Krung Thep. It means, appropriately, City of the Angels. A few hours north of Bangkok is the Tong CHOOB restaurant, nestled in a bend on the Chao Phraya River. It's not famous, but it does happen to be one of the favorite restaurants of our host, MR Thanatsi Swatdi, and he is famous. MR is a member of Thai nobility and a very well-known gourmet and food critic. We joined him at Tong CHOOB to see how some traditional Thai dishes were prepared the old-fashioned way. Amazing place. Thank you for inviting us here. I understand that some of these river prawns, I can't believe they're prawns, they're like lobsters.
Prawn. It's a lobster.
They're actually lobster.
It's bigger than prawn.
Yeah, that's for
It's
sure.
a river lobster, and we call it by the claw.
So if it has that claw,
Kram,
so how will we cook these?
grill. In the old way.
So controlling the heat of the fire with the
Yes,
ashes.
with ashes. It's very important.
So then it's a slow, careful heat, not too fast.
Not too fast. It will take about 10 minutes.
So now it looks like these are basically just about done. It's been, what did you say, about 10 minutes now?
10 minutes, yes.
The lobsters were running quite a bit of juice. They were dripping quite a good bit into the fire. Now an expert and an experienced cook can handle the hot food with a deft touch. It's a famous tradition, and if I was you at home, I would perhaps wait a few moments, let it cool down a bit. We've taken the meat out of the claws. We'll be eating the tails separately, but for now, the claw meat will be stir-fried with a pounded mixture of garlic, coriander root, and white pepper, a Thai classic. And not too fierce a heat either. It's a good slow heat, gentle.
And then
And a little,
busa.
okay, a little bit of fresh vegetables, some chilies. My pakanai.
รู้ใส่อะไรนะฮะ
Large
fresh chili.
fresh chili.
And then
What is this?
palm,
Heart of palm.
coconut palm.
From the very top of the coconut
top,
tree,
yes.
the softest part of the meat.
Yes.
This might be an ingredient that's a little bit hard to find, but if you want a substitute, why not try jicama or Jerusalem artichoke?
I think asparagus is better.
Oh, asparagus would be a good one.
Yes, should be one.
Now here's
It's a
the
good one.
seasoning paste, right?
Yeah.
The
yeah.
is there a Thai name for that combination?
ผัดก้ามกุ้งกับยอดมะพร้าว
Wow, that's a big name.
ผัดก้ามกุ้ง
Pat gam kum
กับยอดมะพร้าว
kap yad ma frau. So the crab claws stirred with the garlic, coriander, and pepper paste, with chilies
Fresh chili.
And fresh chilies. And what is ma frau?
มะพร้าว is a coconut.
Oh, and a little coconut too. Oh, that's the coconut palm meat.
Yes.
Fantastic. This looks amazing. True seafood. So now for another dish here, we're looking at a version of tom yam, but one quite different than any I've seen before. We have the pla
ปลาม้า
ma, which is the horsefish. It's a kind of a large carp, comes right out of the river, and it's going to be boiled with stock,
boy stock.
a little bit of flavor, a little bit of fish sauce and sugar and so on.
And no sugar.
No sugar this time.
And this one, very important.
Now this is swordgrass, and perhaps we can see a little bit here, the sharp edge. It actually feels like thorns, but it's not, and it has a very unique flavor. This is something you can find in a lot of Vietnamese and Lao style stores.
Yes.
Otherwise you could substitute regular coriander.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then to complete the flavor profile, here's a mixture of green chili inside, the red dry chili fried on top. Well, let's see how it goes together then. I'm looking forward to this. So a little bit of clear chicken stock, no vegetables, just the chicken meat. Bring this to a boil. And ready to go here, this is a restaurant with good mise en place. To the stock and the fish will be added some, looks like to me, lemongrass and lime leaves, the kaffir lime leaves. Fresh straw mushrooms will go in, and they're also an important aspect of a traditional tom yam. So if you're thinking about doing this at home, remember, get that stock simmering first, then the fish, and then raise the heat. Now the...
the season with lime, fish sauce, and fresh chili.
And here's the swordgrass going in.
Yes.
Again, you can substitute coriander. Or in this case, if you've ever used fresh young dandelion leaves, I think that would be a great alternative.
And one.
And the
Whatever.
deep-fried, dry red chili. So you get really two contrasts of chili flavor.
Oh, yes. It's crispy.
Crispy, crunchy, but hot.
Very hot.
Very hot, right on. Of course, it wouldn't be a tom yam soup without being served in a little steamboat, brought to the table so it keeps piping hot. The river lobster with fresh chilies and the tender top part of the coconut palm. Stir-fried, garlic, pepper, and coriander root. This is a great way to start the day. A bowl of noodles, very light, very healthy. Gives you a good start to a long, hot day floating down the canals. Just outside Bangkok is an oasis of peace and quiet in an otherwise bustling city. SUAN Tip, or Garden of Contentment restaurant, is an elegant place indeed, with open-air pavilions and tables scattered about 2.5 idyllic acres. We were invited here by Mr. Tanatsi Swati's son, Siri, to learn the traditional manner of preparing one of Thailand's most simple signature dishes, green curry. Food must run in this family's veins because Siri is not only a classically trained French chef, he has his own very popular television cookery show. I knew that coconut milk was a staple of Thai cooking, but I was surprised to learn from Siri that it wasn't always so.
When the Indians came into this country,
I see.
and they had milk, they had goat's milk on this type of stuff. And we had coconut milk already, we used it in our dessert, but it never dawned on us that we should use it in our curry. One, this is keo, it's green, one is sweet. And the green color of the curry comes from the chili peppers.
So abundant chilies gives the green color, and the sweetness will come not just from the coconut milk, but from another source?
From palm sugar
Okay,
or
fantastic.
coconut sugar. She waits until it almost separates.
Okay.
Okay. The reason why we put the curry paste in when it's almost starts separating is because the oil from the coconut milk has a higher smoking point,
Okay.
and you want to concentrate the flavor.
So, and again, you'd be using all the aromatic oils in these ingredients.
Exactly.
Would be trapped by the
Exactly.
coconut oil.
So, if you were doing this curry paste from a scratch,
Yes.
I advise you don't use it in a food processor like when we cook
Okay.
Western food, but actually use a pestle and mortar, chop it up, and then
And that gives a better,
it releases the oil.
much better than that.
aromatics,
Okay,
right.
so the chopping just consecutively breaks it down.
Right.
And it doesn't do as good a job for the releasing. I
Of the oil.
understand now. I've often wondered
She says 3 or 4 minutes.
of the actual cooking and reducing.
Reducing. And then you put the chicken in.
Now that smell is why I think there should be more open kitchen Thai restaurants.
Palm sugar or coconut sugar you put in there. You see, notice she puts quite a bit of it in there.
That was like a solid tablespoonful at that
Right.
point. And more fresh coconut
More
milk.
fresh coconut milk. Stock now is very flavorful.
And you've just sort of done an enrichment on the stock or on the sauce.
Now you'll notice she raises the heat to bring the liquid up to a boil.
Back to a boil so you can properly cook the chicken. Otherwise it could be dry. Or...
And this you don't have in...
I found them in Montreal, actually.
You did?
Oh, yes, all the time.
It's called makua. Makua is any kind of eggplant.
Okay.
Huang. It comes in bunches because it's a tiny little thing. It's very crunchy and a little bitter.
We see them often referred to as green pea.
Green pea, but it's...
Green pea eggplants.
Yes, right.
And of course the restaurants will actually put green peas in the curry for the appearance.
She just put in kaffir lime leaves. Of course, Thai food, all these kaffir lime leaves and everything.
They're so amazingly fragrant. I've heard the kaffir lime referred to as the perfume lime back home.
Oh, really?
Has an amazing aroma.
And this is Thai basil by Horapa.
By Horapa.
Right.
This is the basil with the red flower, a reddish stem.
Here we go.
Can we see that flower?
See that?
Just amazing.
You see that?
And unlike other basils, when this basil flowers, its flavor isn't ruined.
No, not at all.
It just becomes a much more appealing garnish.
This is a very simple dish too.
Oh, it looks so good.
But you have the Thai word "jai yen yen." Take it easy. Don't rush.
A cool heart is the secret to success. And so to Hong Kong, our final stop. It is said that with 6.5 million inhabitants and several thousand restaurants, Hong Kong has the highest per capita number of eating places anywhere in the world. I can't think of a better reason to be here. First stop, a conference devoted entirely to food. What else? So here we are at the 8th annual Hong Kong Food Expo. It's a giant hall filled with food. Mostly, it's snack foods. Snack foods and health foods. It's interesting how the two come together. So, if you want to find out new trends and new ways of cooking and new things you can put in your mouth that are delicious, this is the place to come. Well, now we're all concerned about our health, and there's some amazing cures coming out of the forests and the jungles of Asia. Take, for instance, these mushrooms. They're called lingzi, and boiled with a bit of tangerine peel and water for several hours with a cover on, they'll create a wonderful tonic that's a powerful antioxidant. And here's something very interesting. Wild ginseng from Wisconsin is considered to be amongst the best in the world. Now, if you're concerned about your appearance, why not try some wild snow jelly? Cooked up, it'll look like this, and it helps clear toxins from the skin, preventing pimples, wrinkles, keeps you looking healthy and young. It's amazing, all this food with all these great ideas behind it. A very popular drink from Taiwan now is the sago tea, made with milk and Chinese red tea. Now, the red tea is considered to be a very good antitoxin, supposed to help prevent cancer and whatnot. That's a big concern here in Asia. But what's really important is this is ice cold and very refreshing. Look at the size of the straw. That's so you can suck up one of the nice sago balls. It's almost like tapioca. You chew it as you drink. It's a wonderful textural combination, very typically Asian. Homesick. No culinary experience in Hong Kong is complete without a stop at the world-famous Fordham restaurant. Chef Kun Yat Jung's restaurant has become famous for two reasons: attention to detail in preparing very traditional Cantonese cuisine, and for creating his own specialty, ayat abalone, a very exotic and very expensive dish. With us is Mr. Kwok, who will be our translator today.
First, we could have pigeons with nuts.
Pigeon stir-fried, and I can see from the dish there, those are very fancy pine nuts.
Put the oils in the really hot pots, and then put the pigeons inside, and make it stir-fried.
Stir-frying on a fairly low heat. I guess the pot provides
medium heat.
Medium heat.
Yeah, that's right.
I've never seen work done in a clay pot like this.
Yeah, that's right.
Quite
and
beautiful.
then after the pigeon change the color, and then we'll put the other in. And that's the oyster sauce, delivery oyster sauce inside.
A very small amount of oyster sauce.
Yeah.
So you need to be very gentle with the pigeon meat.
Yeah, it's really very gentle and don't cook it too much.
Now we have, I can see some ginger, carrot, and celery.
Yeah, that's right. And cook it together. It's not 呢個行嘅喺邊度嚟㗎？呢個果仁。
果仁係中國啊。
哦，from China. This nuts. Yeah.
Okay. And what is this sauce?
This is the soy sauce.
But it's a very dark one.
Yeah, it's very dark. It's just make the colors more attractive. You cook it.
Little dash more oil to help finish the dish. It's so delicate. Always taste the sauce before you're done.
Yeah,
Make sure it's right.
right.
You can correct the seasoning.
Yeah. This one is the ham sauce.
That's broth from cooking Yunnan ham.
Ham, yeah, it's made by the ham.
A little bit more oyster sauce. Now at this point, this is where the chef corrects the seasoning. He tastes it first and then he sees what additional flavorings or what adjustments need to be made. One of the most important points in cooking is assessing that sauce.
It's finished.
And onto the plate, which is already garnished with the pieces of deep fried pigeon, so that it's clear exactly what kind of dish we're having. It's a very traditional presentation. Pigeon stir-fried with pine nuts.
With pine nuts.
Beautiful. Before me is a pot of simmering abalone. It was dried Japanese abalone and it's been carefully cooked already for 16 hours along with chicken and pork and a very superior kind of broth just to get it ready so now we can finish the dish.
First repeat, this one is the abalone sauce.
Okay, so when the abalone is cooked
Same as that sauce. This one is
for the long time,
Yeah, that's right.
it's cooked along with pork and chicken. And so what we're using now is just the fat from the top of that stock because it has a wonderful, intense flavor. What's interesting about the clay pot that we're cooking in, it's originally a Chinese-style pot, but the Japanese, with their superior ceramics technology, have improved upon it. Previously, a dish like this could only be used for simmering, very liquid-based cooking methods.
Yeah.
But here, because the ceramic is so superior, we can actually use it almost dry, and in effect, we can stir-fry in this clay pot. What's important about that is because it's clay, there's no reaction with the food. There's no risk of ever transmitting a metallic taste that would have a negative effect on the food. Quite a brilliant idea, a very pure form of cooking.
Really gently, slowly, and then after enough, the colors change, and then put more sauce to it.
This is a little bit more of the superior stock.
It's corn.
A little bit of cornstarch mixed with water. Classic thickening agent in Cantonese cuisine.
Make the sauce more concentrate.
And helps it to glaze and stick to the abalone as well. Producing a very shiny and succulent result. Now this dark soy sauce actually is not very salty. In fact, it's more like soy sauce mixed with caramel. And what it does is it gives a lovely Swedish, sort of a sweet salt flavor, but it doesn't overpower the dish.
Yeah, it's not really salty.
And it gives the color, most importantly.
Yeah, it's color. It's used for color. Cook it in a plate.
Magnificent. At this point, with the abalone being such a wonderful, and not to mention expensive food, nothing is wasted. Cantonese cuisine is a very wonderful approach to cooking and to eating. At its base, what's important is emphasizing the natural flavors of the foods and creating harmonies amongst them. Now, Cantonese cooking is not just about stir-frying. There's all different kinds of approaches. Something we don't hear often about are salads. Salad of chicken and shrimp. And so a little deep frying going on here.
Yeah.
What kind of oil is that?
This one is fresh oil. It's it's corn
Okay,
oil, yes.
so here we are. Corn oil, and what's important here is it has not been used before for any other frying, so that the dish tastes perfect. The cooking process is quite fast. I think it's important that we notice that the temperature of the oil isn't that hot. We're not deep frying at regular deep frying temperatures. I'm going to guess, I'd say we're cooking at about 300 to 325 degrees Fahrenheit in the oil. Normally we deep fry at 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point we make sure the cooking is even. And now it's important to allow the oil to drain. Get the pan hot.
Yeah.
Some oil.
Some oils, some green onion.
I love the way the carrots are cut. They look quite lovely, but also it emphasizes that you can see there's not a great deal of carrot used. A little bit more green onion though. And this helps to make a nice aromatic and slightly sweet flavor. Gai choy, the small baby gai choy.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a popular vegetable in Cantonese cooking.
Yeah, that's right.
The gai choy had previously been blanched. Now we're going to finish a little seasoning, a little sauce for this dish. We have some ham stock.
Ham stock, yeah.
And it's like 2 teaspoons only were used. Quickly that'll evaporate and glaze the chicken and the shrimp. A lovely caramel soy, which is not very salty and is used mostly to provide a bit of color. And of course its unique aroma. Some superior ham and chicken stock.
Yeah, that's the sour sauce.
And now some mayonnaise. Here you'd have to work carefully or the mayonnaise will fall apart.
Yeah, it's need a very careful for this stuff.
So those small ingredients beforehand, the caramel soy sauce, the superior stock, and the ham broth, help to create the flavor of the dressing for the salad.
Yeah, the flavor is very wonderful and you cook this one really special.
Just a little drop of oil to help bind everything again. And now we dress the dish.
Yeah.
Very unique presentation. Looks so nice and creamy. Very interesting East meets West approach in this, the use of the mayonnaise. After your meal has sort of been going on for a while, you've enjoyed these wonderful seafood delicacies, you might want to think of having something a little bit more substantial to round out the meal. And in that case, you could end with rice. However, a great option is to have a chow mein. Okay, dried conpoy, and now some ginger. Just to explain what conpoy is, you might have read of it in many Chinese menus, Cantonese menus specifically. What conpoy is it's dried scallops, and it's considered a very special delicacy. The drying of the scallop really reinforces and concentrates its flavor. To get them ready for cooking, they are cleaned and then carefully steamed. And all the juice from steaming them is saved because it has a fantastic flavor. Very little oil has gone into this dish. I mean, the first step was heating the pan with oil and pouring the excess out.
Yeah.
Now, shredded green onion has been added.
And then put the onions inside, the little bit time and make it soft.
I see what's happening now. The green onions, shredded, are being wrapped up in the noodle, and the heat of the noodle is bringing out their aroma. So they're kind of being steamed inside the hot noodle instead of being fried in the hot oil.
It's really special cooking style.
I can smell it, that's for sure. That is special. There's a point to remember. Okay, so at this point, leaving it alone, careful control on the heat means that the onions will soften, the green onion will soften, but the noodle on the bottom will cook a bit, giving that chow mein flavor.
Yeah.
Chow mein simply means fried noodle. And of course, this is not a simple dish here, but it is very elegant, that's for sure. Chow, to stir fry, mein, noodle. Sifu, chef, thank you very much. Chef Yung from the Forum Restaurant, Mr. Kwok again.
Well, we've reached our final stop and our own personal food safari has come to its end.
It's been a great trip, and I'm sure we're all going to remember the sights, the sounds, and especially the flavors. I said earlier that I'd take you out of your kitchen. Well, I hope that I did that. I also hope that you found Entree to Asia to be entertaining and that I've given you the confidence to go back to your kitchen armed with that extra bit of knowledge. So next time when you're wondering what to make for dinner, perhaps you'll try a little Thai soup or curry, maybe some Malaysian satay on the barbecue, or even just a salad with a Southeast Asian twist. I hope so. And remember, if you took notes, well then don't forget to eat your homework. I'm Thomas Robson.